In this video, I'm going to take you step by step through everything that you need to do in order to start sending emails inside of ClickUp. So let's jump right into ClickUp and get started here. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is obviously go ahead and turn on the ability to actually email out of ClickUp. So in order to do that, what you're going to want to do is actually go ahead to your settings over here, click on the top right, your profile there, find your settings just like this. And from there, we actually need to go turn on the email ClickApp, which you'll see directly there. If you don't see that, you'll need to ask one of the admins within your ClickUp workspace to help you out with this. So once I click on my ClickApps, all I need to do is go to email just like this. And if you don't know what ClickApps are, essentially what they are basically some additional features or functionalities that you can turn on or off inside of your ClickUp workspace, which is super nice because then you kind of customize your workspace depending on really what you want to have turned on or off. You can go through a lot of those ClickApps. There's a lot of different things that you can turn on or off. And so after I find my email ClickApp, as you can see directly there, this is already turned on, but you just want to make sure for your account that that is toggled on. If you want to learn a little bit more about some of their written documentation they have on the email ClickUp, feel free to click on that link. Otherwise, you also have two additional settings here that you can adjust as well. So you can enable this in certain spaces. If you've used ClickApps before, a lot of them give you the ability to turn it on or off for certain spaces. I wouldn't worry too much about this unless there's certain spaces that you have absolutely no reason to be sending emails out of. I'll go over some best practices towards the end of this video, but feel free to just turn that on across your workspace unless, again, there's specific spaces that you're like, hey, no way I want to send any emails from that space. After that, you also have the option to either post email replies as threaded replies or as new comments. Again, I'll go over this a little bit later in the video so you can actually see this. Essentially what this means is when you actually go to send an email from ClickUp, you're essentially going to be going into a ClickUp task. And in that task, you're going to navigate over to the activity section of it where those comments are. So when you actually go to leave a comment, essentially you'll be able to switch that comment to say, hey, I want to send an email. And from there, you'll send the email and that's going to show up as a comment on that task that you sent the email out of. And so what you are able to do is either when someone replies to that email that you've sent, it can come as a threaded response. So it'll be kind of underneath that main email comment versus it being a completely separate comment. So I like to thread replies just because, as you can imagine, if you are communicating a lot inside of that task, then you're also emailing out of that task, and say you're going back and forth a lot with that email, that can be a lot of comments and it's hard to kind of branch all that together and figure out really what's going on. So I like to thread all those replies for that specific email. So I would recommend you leave it here unless, again, this is your preference. If you'd rather it be new comments, depending on how you're going to use email inside of ClickUp, feel free to choose that there. And so after you're done with that, we're essentially good to go. We've turned on our email ClickApp. Now there's a couple of different things we want to do. So you're going to want to navigate down here to your email integration. So as you can see, we can also set up the email ClickApp here if we would like. Otherwise, I can just do it right there in the ClickApp section. And so when you get here, you also have three different sections within this and different things that you can customize. The biggest thing to note here with your email accounts is if you want your full team, whether you're 5, 10, 15, 30, 100, whatever, however so many people are at your company, you'll just want to know that you only have two different email accounts that can actually be linked to ClickUp. After that, you're going to have to pay, I believe it's about $24 per year per account. So it's not super expensive. However, if you don't want to pay that additional sum, what I would recommend is that when you actually go to add a new account, if you have some sort of support or main inbox that your whole team could potentially use, that way it's all being tracked to sort of one main inbox for the team and that they can all just use that to email out of ClickUp. That's probably my best recommendations. That's what we do internally, especially for more sort of onboarding emails and things like that with our clients. We can just have that support inbox that's what we're using for us when we actually email outside of ClickUp. So feel free to do that. It's relatively easy to actually go set up a new account in here. As you can see here, I can just go sign in with Google, Microsoft, Outlook, whatever it may be. You're just going to basically click on this, and then it's just going to give you some questions, basically give you the permissions from Google to ClickUp. Kind of a pretty simple process that ClickUp will lead you through there. When you're done with that, just go ahead and press submit, and again, that'll easily connect your inbox there. As you can see here, if I drop this down, I have a couple of different options in here as well. I can send the email as whatever name I want. In this case, just Jeff, if it's coming from jeff@zenpilot.com. That makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, you also have the option to give other people the ability to send an email from your inbox out of ClickUp. So I can either choose just myself, I can choose admins, members and admins, or I can choose specific people here as well. So feel free, again, if it's going to be a support inbox, you'll probably want to have most people in your workspace. Otherwise, maybe there's some people that don't really need it or you don't want them to. So you can just choose specific people there as well, which is super nice. And so after you've got that all hooked up, that's the first thing that you need to do. After that, you want to go through and adjust your signatures and your templates. So it's relatively easy to add a signature here. You'll want to add a signature maybe for each person as well. I'll show you what this looks like later on, but if you do have a support inbox, you can also sort of adjust that signature depending on who's sending the email, which is super nice. But as you can see here, I have my signature all laid out. You have the option to either build this with rich text or use HTML. Essentially what I did here, it's very easy. You just kind of go, if you're in Gmail or Outlook or wherever, your email signature is actually built out. So in my case, again, that's Gmail. I can just basically copy the HTML from there into this. And then as you'll see, that's going to be exactly what it's going to look like for my signature if I'm sending out a Gmail. So you want to keep that consistent. That way it seems like it's a legit email, not something that's a little spammy or something like that. So I highly recommend just go copy that HTML. If you have a nice signature like this, it's a little bit more formatted, just copy and paste that directly into ClickUp so that you can see it like that. Again, HTML or rich text to add a signature, relatively easy. Just go like that, as you can see there. Add that in. So a lot of different formatting options that you're going to have. And so after your signatures, you're going to want to go to templates as well. You don't need to set all of these up right now if you don't want to. However, these are super helpful and nice. If you've used a tool, we use HubSpot internally. And so HubSpot, obviously, a lot of different marketing automation platforms, CRM systems, things like that have your own ways to build out templates, and then your team can use them to save them a lot of time. And so it's pretty easy to add a bunch of email templates here. Just come here, name the template name, whatever you want it to be, add that subject line so it's automatically populated, add all the email content that you'd want. You could put links in here and different things like that, attach some files and whatnot. So pretty easy to do all of that there. I can share this with just some people, share it with everyone. Again, you have all those different options to do that as well. So go ahead and add some email templates. As you can see here, if I actually go and edit this one, this is a super nice email template. Again, that I can have a lot of formatting in here. I can have the subject line already populated. I can add some links and things like that to files that I have within our HubSpot instance. And so all of it is going to be there. Very easy for me to build all of that out, which is great. And so this is also helpful because when you're actually sending your email from ClickUp, it's so easy to find this and just kind of populate your email via these templates. So highly recommend you build these, but again, you don't have to build them right away. And so that's all you're gonna need to do when you actually go to set up emails inside of ClickUp. And so now I want to talk about some of those best practices and things you want to take note of and how we can actually send an email outside of or inside of ClickUp. So let's go back to our workspace here. So the biggest thing to note is when you are sending emails out of ClickUp, a lot of people like and think it's going to be best if they essentially can send those emails. Maybe if you're sending them to your clients, let's say that you're an agency or just someone that works with clients here. Most people will want to kind of go into, in this case, we have our delivery space. If you have been following us for a while now, you'll know sort of that's how we operate. That's where all of our delivery focused work is living. And so most people are working on these different deliverables or projects for their clients. And really what they want to do, because they think this will be super helpful, is they come to their deliverables or projects and they want to send a bunch of emails out of these different tasks. And so although you can do that, again, if I wanted to send an email, I'd come to this comment section here to actually go and send that. I'll go over that in just a little bit. But as you can imagine, when you have a bunch of different projects happening for a lot of different clients and you start sending them in those tasks, essentially it can be very difficult to sort of manage all of that and see all of that communication. Again, it's still going to go to your email inbox, so you'll see it in there. But sometimes it can be very helpful to put all sort of client communication in one place. Just like a CRM system works, essentially, anytime you send an email to that client, it's going to show up on that deal record or that company record. So it's very easy to track all of that inside of one place. Versus if I'm doing this, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because I'm putting them in a bunch of different comments across my workspace and all of these different tasks. So it's hard to manage all of that. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not the best way that you can do it. So I'd recommend, instead of putting those emails inside of your actionable work that you're doing either internally or for your clients, what I would recommend is that you build somewhat of a CRM space inside of your ClickUp workspace. So if you're curious about this or want to know more about how we build a CRM system inside of ClickUp, I have a video and a tutorial on that. I'll put in the description below that you can watch. It's going to go through the whole setup of this so that you can actually start building this for your team. But essentially what I can do here is, as you can see, I have all of these folders are representing my clients and all of their work. So if I go down to my CRM though, I then have a bunch of lists for things like deals, companies, leads, or even contacts there. Again, we'll have a full training and tutorial that you can grab in the description below that'll go over all of these different lists here. But as you can see, essentially in my delivery space, I have like Schrute Farms, Dunder Mifflin, Michael Scott Paper Company, and all those are going to be represented directly here. So instead of me sending any emails from over here in my delivery space, what I'm going to want to do is actually come here into my CRM just like this. In Dunder Mifflin, this is basically a record for that deal. And so this, again, is a great way for me to then centralize all that communication and put it in one place so that it's easier for me to navigate, see what we're sending them, see what their responses are and things like that. So then it acts more as a regular CRM that you would have inside of like a HubSpot or Salesforce, because all of that communication is going to be tracked in one place. And so again, in order for me to send an email, say we wanted to send something to someone at Dunder Mifflin, whoever it may be, I could go to this record task here. As you can see, if we'll just go back, we'll click on this. And so what I'm going to do is go down into the comments section right here. So when I go to add a comment, as I showed you earlier, you now have the option to either leave a comment on this task, or I can actually go to send an email. And so I'll click send email. And again, that's going to show and populate now my ability to actually send an email directly from this ClickUp task. And so you have the option to choose sort of what inbox that you're going to be sending this from. Remember, I have just my Jeff at ZenPilot set up, but I'd highly recommend you have that support inbox. Now I can choose who I want to send this to, and I can CC and BCC people. I can adjust the subject line there, and then I can also add in my overall email text. As you can see, I can also add a signature, and this is what I was saying earlier, that you have the option to basically, even if you are sending it out a support inbox, you can adjust that signature there if you would like, depending on who is actually sending it out, just really whatever you want to do there. And so now what I'm able to do also is for writing this email, again, I can just write it out if I wanted to, but I can come down here and I can actually add email templates. And so I had those templates already created for me to use. We'll go with this one. Your asset is here, how to use ClickUp guide. And so as you can see, that's going to populate my subject line. That's going to populate all this text as well with all the links, making it very easy for me there. So you can add in email templates, especially maybe if you have account managers that are going to be sending emails from here, or even your sales team, and you want them to have somewhat of a base template that can be customized and edited a little bit. They can just do that. That's going to save them a lot of time and make it way easier to keep things consistent across your team for your clients. So you have that option for email templates. You can go into some email settings here if you wanted to again, adjust those settings that we saw earlier, or I can also attach some files and things that way. If I want to upload a file, if I want to use Google Drive, new Google Doc, whatever it may be there. And so then when you actually go ahead and put in the person who you're going to be sending this email to, I'll show you what that looks like. Let's actually just send this to myself, just like this, Jeff at ZenPilot.com. I can go there. Again, I can CC, BCC someone, and I can go ahead and click send. Also, if you have ClickUp AI, it's pretty cool. You can also use it directly here. As you can see, it populates for you to actually go ahead and write this email. Just a great way to speed up the process here and have some AI features directly there. Just a cool kind of feature with ClickUp AI. We won't do that right now, but that is an option for you. And then from there, I can actually go ahead and click send. So as I showed you before, essentially what happens is whenever I send an email, it's going to show up as a comment just like this. As you can see, it clearly shows that this is an email, has a subject line up there. You can say it's comment sent as Jeff at ZenPilot, who it's sent to. I can actually view the email just like that if I wanted to. So it's pretty nice and nifty in here. And so it's going to show up as a comment. I sent one of these out earlier, so I show you what a reply actually looks like. So again, same email. And again, when I have those threaded replies, essentially what it does is now it's going to show up just like this. So Jeff, I'm talking to myself here, sent one back, great resource, thank you. And that's how it kind of shows up. So again, it's going to be threaded underneath that comment there. And then if I want to reply directly to that email, again, I can do it right here. That's automatically going to just show up for me to actually go send a response to that email from myself here. So we'll go ahead and cancel that, but you'll see what that looks like. So that's really the best way that you can actually go ahead and send emails. Again, build out somewhat of a CRM instance for you to be able to send those so that all of those emails get put into one place for your clients, so that's a little bit easier to track. And again, those threaded replies are going to make it a little bit easier for you to keep that kind of communication centralized in one place as opposed to making all of these brand new comments. And so that's the first way to send emails. Again, you can just send them directly out of ClickUp tasks. The other thing I found super helpful and nice inside of ClickUp is I do have the option here is if I want to build out my CRM instance even more and I want to maybe add some marketing automation or something like that to my CRM system that I have built in here, I can create somewhat of a leads list. And so in this instance, let's say that we want to basically set up a lead magnet form for someone to download a piece of content. And then when they download that piece of content, just as you would in a lot of other forms that's on your website, you want to automatically send them an email with that piece of content that they've downloaded. And so as you can see in my leads list, I have all of these different record tasks, and now these are names of people with their emails, their phone numbers, job titles, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. And so for me to get that information and to create a form for them to then fill out, the way that forms work on ClickUp is I can essentially create a form on this leads list here. As you can see here, in this form, whenever they submit it, it's going to create that task inside of this list. And so as you can see, again here, just to show you this form a little bit, the name of that person will become the task name. As you can see directly there, that's the name of the task. We also have here, I'm collecting their email address, their company name, phone number, so on and so forth. Those are all different custom fields. But the cool part about this, because I'm collecting their email address, I can use that to automatically send an email to them. Because once we get that, we can use that as who we're sending it to. And so I can add an automation into ClickUp that's automatically going to send them that resource via their email. And so I'll show you what this automation looks like up here. Essentially, if I come here, we have when the task is created, send the email. And so what I can do is just say when a task is created inside of this list and my source selected is going to be a form submission there. Essentially what I'm going to do is send an email from my inbox, Jeff@ZenPilot, or again, you could use that support inbox if you had that one set up. I can send this to that email custom field because I've added it to this list. It lives in this location, so now I can actually send them an email. Again, I could CC it to that email as well, BCC if you wanted to, if you had other email addresses in there, which probably doesn't make much sense for this, but you can do that. And then I can add in the subject line directly there. Your how to use ClickUp guide is there if that's the resource that they're downloading. And as you could see, I can also customize this a little bit too. So I could say, if I wanted to, I could say, hey, their task name, because again, that task name becomes the ability for me, that's the form submission, that's the task name, that's their name. And so I can add that in here to say, hey, task name, or again, task name is their first name or full name there, your how to use ClickUp guide is there. So I have the ability to customize this a little bit with any of those form fields that I've collected. So I have that piece of data there. So, hey, their name, your how to use ClickUp guide is here. And then again, I'm using that same thing here. Hi, task name or their name. Thanks for requesting our 56-page guide, yada, yada, yada. And so I could put all of that data in there. Again, you could customize all of this depending on what you've collected. If you want to put that company name in there or their team size, whatever basically data you're collecting, if you wanted to, you could customize this a little bit, which is great. And so for here, you can also see that is an email template that I used. Again, you're able to easily populate it here. That's the one that I use right there. So it makes it very easy for me to add this in. I can add in emojis and things like that too if I wanted to, but then I'm going to go ahead and click save. And again, this is going to make it so that whenever someone submits that form, if they give me the correct data, they're going to get an email with that content that they've downloaded. So let's go ahead and click save. And then I'll show you a little bit about what this actually looks like. So here I actually have this lead magnet form all filled out. And so I'm going to go ahead and download this right now and actually submit it. I've now sent this to actually a page on my website, which you can adjust that inside of your form. But as you can see, if I come back here now to this list, let's go to leads by content here. So you'll see Jeff Cipher that created that task from that form submission. And if I click on this task, you'll see that hey, Jeff Cipher, your how to use ClickUp guide is here. So I've sent out that email automatically. So you can kind of build some marketing automation here into ClickUp as well. So kind of a great way for you to add that automatically send emails to leads if you wanted to build somewhat of a lead form in there. But those are just kind of a great use case there for you to automate some of those emails. So again, maybe if it's an onboarding form that your client is filling out, you can kind of replicate that same process. If you get their name, if you get their email from that form submission, you can automatically send an email just maybe welcoming them and greeting them a little bit. Again, sometimes it's easier for it to be manual, but you can automate that by building an automation inside of the list where that form is being submitted. So that's a little bit about how to send emails from ClickUp. Remember, it's super helpful to have somewhat of a CRM space in here to make sure that you're kind of centralizing all that email sending as opposed to kind of putting in all those actionable tasks. This is a much easier way to manage that process. So hopefully that was helpful to give you an overview of how to send emails inside of ClickUp. One other resource I have for you, if you want to learn a lot more about any of this or how we set up ClickUp, that goes over sort of all of our different spaces here, how we best utilize the system, you should definitely go and download. This is on our website, our ultimate how to use ClickUp guide from ZenPilot. We are ClickUp's first ever and highest rated solutions partner, and we've helped over 3,000 different teams implement the platform. And this is really our whole methodology, our whole way of setting it up for really whatever team you're on, how to set up your hierarchy, how to leave comments inside of ClickUp, how to build your tasks, how to save templates, how to automate a lot of different things. So feel free to go grab this guide on our website. But again, hopefully that was a helpful video. I'll put the link to that guide in the description below for you to go grab that. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. But I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.